What's up, family? Man, back out in beautiful nature. Man, just looking at this duck just land, this mallard duck just land in the pond right next to me. I had to get back out here. You know what I mean? Man, I work so much, you know what I mean? But man, I need to get back out here for the reconnection, just the regrounding, you know what I mean? Just to breathe in the air and just to feel the breeze, you know what I mean? Man, and it's crazy because what I want to talk to you guys about, it's gonna be kind of deep for some of you. You know what I mean? It's gonna be kind of deep for some of you. It's crazy because as I was walking out here right before I set up, I came across this little shell. It's a little turtle shell. I'm gonna take it back and clean it up, and I'm gonna keep this. I like this, you know what I mean? I love turtles. Something about turtles, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna take this back and clean it up. Man, just so grateful, you know, that I saw this, you know, and that it was out here for me. That being said, I want to talk to you guys about suffering, you know, suffering. And I get hit so much, man. People ask me about suffering. Why is there so much pain in the world? Why is there so much drama and trauma and chaos? And why do so many people have to go through all of the hell that they go through? And what is it? You know, what's going on? It seems like there's so much more suffering now than there was, you know, 5 years ago, you know, prior to the pandemic or whatever, you know what I mean? There's so much suffering, you know what I mean? And man, why is that? You know, family. Suffering's a part of life. You know, it's a part of life. We got to get over that. You know, it is what it is. You know, suffering is a part of life, you know, and we have to understand that, you know, nobody came to stop suffering. I'm going to say that again. Nobody came to stop suffering. And what do I mean by that? When Buddha walked this planet, Buddha didn't stop suffering. He realized that suffering was around. He understood that suffering was a part of life. You know, he came up with ways of how we could personally stop suffering, but he knew that the greater part of humanity was going to have to go through what they had to go through in order until they came to that understanding that, hey, suffering is optional. You know what I mean? Suffering is optional. And I made a short video probably almost a year ago talking about that, you know, how suffering is optional. And a lot of people didn't believe that. A lot of people couldn't grasp that concept because, man, you know, how can you tell me suffering is optional and I had to go through this and I'm going through this and I went through this? And man, family, it is what it is. You know what I mean? We have to learn how to change our perspective. We have to grow up emotionally. We have to grow up intellectually. We have to grow up spiritually. Suffering is optional. And I'm saying that as somebody that, man, I've had my share of suffering. I've endured my share of suffering. You know what I mean? And I had to come to this grip. I had to come to this understanding when I'm sitting there watching my late wife pass away, you know, and feeling completely helpless, you know, feeling completely hopeless because, man, I was powerless of saving her. You know, she was my best friend, my everything. And I was completely powerless of changing her situation. And I'm constantly watching her dying from cancer. And I had to come to the understanding, man, suffering is optional, you know? And again, man, I saw my father murder my mom when I was 2 years old. You know what I mean? I was sexually molested twice as a 6-year-old kid. I grew up in a household where we were physically abused, you know what I mean? Where we were emotionally abused, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying that as somebody that hasn't gone through anything. Man, I've gone through my fair share of suffering. I've gone through my fair share of losses. You know what I mean? And I've learned that, man, suffering is optional. You know what I mean? We don't have to suffer. We suffer because we don't understand what's going on. You know what I mean? And what I mean, and people say, well, this pain is suffering and this and that. Man, a woman going through labor, she has labor pains, you know, and she's having her contractions and all that other stuff. And man, it hurts. I get that. You know what I mean? But what she's bringing forth is worth the pain. what she's bringing forward, is worth it to her. She's more than happy to go through the hell that she's going through just to bring this child into the world. Yeah, it hurts her. It changes her body. You know, she may have stretch marks the rest of her life. She may not have the tight physique that she used to have. You know what I mean? I get that. And pain can do that to us. Suffering can do that to us. It can completely change us. Just because it changes us doesn't mean that it has to change us for the worse. We have to understand that, man. When I sit back and I understand what I'm going through and I understand why I'm going through this, you know, okay, what's the greater good? How am I going to benefit from this? How can I benefit so many others from this? You know what I mean? And when I used to sit back when I was a kid, man, they used to put on news and all this other stuff, how kids in America, you know, we used to have the little milk cartons, and they would put all these pictures of kids on milk cartons. This kid's gone missing, this kid's gone missing, you know, and that was like the biggest thing in the 70s and the early 80s, you know what I mean? And during that time frame, understand, Africa was going through this great starvation. You know, Ethiopians and all these other places in Africa were starving, and they would show these little kids just starving and just going through it. You know what I mean? And I used to sit back and be so mad and so angry. It's like, how can there be a loving God? How can you people talk about God as loving and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, and all these people are catching hell. All these people are suffering. All these people are starving. All these kids are coming up missing. All this stuff is going on, and you sitting here talking to me about God. You know, until God fixes this, I ain't interested in your God. You know what I mean? This is stuff that I used to think about as a kid. You know, I'm just keeping it real. You know what I mean? If God is so loving, then what did these kids do to deserve all the hell that they're going through? Why are all these people starving? You know, what's going on in the world? You know, and it is crazy because as I got older and I realized, like, hold on, time out. It is what it is. Everybody that's going through whatever they're going through, understand that that individual has a contract. That individual is here on their own unique journey. Everybody, all 8 billion people on this planet have a journey. All 8 billion people on this planet came here for a specific reason. All 8 billion people on this planet have their own unique journey, their own story. You know what I mean? Their own purpose in life. And their suffering is, man, there's some things that they had to figure out in this lifetime. Their suffering is, man, it's supposed to help them grow. It's supposed to help them transcend where they're currently at. They had to go through this for whatever reason. For whatever reason. They had to come here and figure out, man, what it's like to grow up starving, to be in a community that's starving, to be in a situation where people are dying left and right from AIDS and from all these different illnesses. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, they chose to come back here to go through all the hell that they've gone through. Suffering is optional. They chose to come here and go through the hell that they went through. Because there's some things that they had to learn. There's some karmic debt that they had to repay. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Get over it. You know what I mean? Get over it. And when I say get over it, I'm not saying just get over your suffering. I'm talking about get over the fact that every one of us have a journey. Every one of us have a purpose. Your purpose ain't their purpose. Their purpose ain't your purpose. Stop being fixated on what they're going through. Stop being so focused and traumatized by what they're going through that you stop fulfilling your purpose. You stop growing. Don't allow their life to be a distraction to you. Don't allow their life and their suffering and their situation to stop you from reaching your full potential. What did you come here to do? Why are you here? Why are you going through all the hell that you're going through? Why did you go through all the hell that you went through? And all the hell that we've gone through was to help us. It was to help us. But we chose to come back and go through all the hell that we went through. Because there's some things that we needed to learn. And we could only learn those lessons from going through those situations by taking those classes. And what I mean class is all the circumstances, all the situations you found yourself in that traumatized you, that hurt you, that broke you and devastated you, whatever it is. You chose that class. You chose that class because there's something you're supposed to learn from that class. There's something you're supposed to get out of that class. And only that class could give you the tools to continue your journey. Only that class could give you the tools and prepare you and groom you for your next phase in your life. So suffering is optional. You suffer because you choose to suffer. Once you learn a lesson, you ain't got to suffer no more. Most of us refuse to learn the lessons. Most of us get comfortable in our suffering, and we wear our suffering as a badge of honor. We wear our suffering as something we could be prideful about. Man, I got this problem, and I got this ailment, and this hurt, and man, all that other stupid stuff. You know what I mean? I hear people talk about that stuff all the time. Like that's a badge of honor. You know what I mean? Like they get points, they get kudos for going through all the hell that they're going through. Ain't growing from it. They just going through it. You know what I mean? They ain't trying to change. They ain't trying to grow. They want to stay right where they're at because they get all this attention from their quote unquote suffering. We have to grow up. We have to grow up. I don't care what you've gone through. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care what you're going through. It's here to teach you something. Learn the lesson. And there's always more than one lesson. And every time you go a little higher, the lesson gets a little deeper. I'm going to say that again. So you could go through something and be like, I got the lesson. And you'll go to the next level. And as you go to the next level, you'll see that same lesson, that same situation, and you'll get a deeper understanding, a deeper meaning, a deeper message of that same experience. We have to grow up. We have to grow up. I understand loneliness. I understand being broken. I understand being rejected. I understand being unwanted and feeling invalidated and nobody cares and nobody listens and whoop-de-whoop. I understand all of that. I don't give a crap about any of that stuff. You know what I mean? I don't get caught up in all that stuff. I don't care about that stuff. Not like I used to. That stuff meant the world to me in the past. I don't care about that stuff anymore. All the suffering in the world, all the quote unquote ugliness in the world. What you think about, you bring about. Wherever your focus goes, your energy flows. So I don't get caught up in all the drama, all the chaos, all the BS. You know what I mean? All the suffering. I don't get caught up in all that. I don't focus on all that. Because what you think about, you bring about. I focus on love. I focus on growth and development. I focus on the beauty. With all the suffering, all the pain, all the chaos in the world, man, there's so much beauty around me. You know what I mean? Man, there's so much to be grateful for. There's so much to be happy about. You know what I mean? That's what I focus on because that's what I want more of. As long as you focus on suffering, you're always going to get more suffering. What you think about, you bring about. Change your attention. Change your focus. Stop focusing on the suffering and start focusing on the lesson. I'm saying again, stop focusing on the suffering and start focusing on the lesson and the benefit of the situation. Focus on the growth and development. Focus on how that's going to benefit you, how that is benefiting you, and how you could take that and benefit humanity. We have to change our perspective. Just because there's ugliness around you doesn't mean there's not beauty. I just showed you this shell. This is a baby turtle. It's gone. It's gone. It's fulfilled his life. I don't know how it passed away or any of that other stuff, but it's no longer here. Death is all around us, everywhere. Just because death is all around us don't mean I have to be focused on death. I could be focused on the beauty and the gratitude of life. This turtle's gone. Man, I'm thankful that this turtle's been here. I'm going to use this shell. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm grateful that I found it. Focus on the beauty of life. Focus on the growth of life. Change your perspective. Stop looking at all the drama and the trauma. Stop looking at all the chaos. Stop looking at all the suffering. Stop focusing on what you're going through, what you've been through. Stop repeating that over and over and over and over. Change your perspective. It is what it is. What are the lessons? How is it benefiting me? Because it's all good. Everything's always working out for us. If we grow up, everything's always working out for us. If we look at it with the right perspective. If we look at it with the right perspective. I love you guys. Happy healing. Peace.